Welcome to the Point of View. I'm your host, DDE80, 13th Wonder of the World, Mike D, Mike Deezy, all aliases. So nice to hear from y'all tonight on this Thursday night. Point of View coming through at 8:35 p.m. on October the 24th, 2024. Shout out to the Point Place family. Shout out to Bobby Reeves. And shout out to all the family members of the Point Place family. Shout out to M. Breezy. Shout out to Naya. Shout out to my sister. I love all y'all. Thank y'all for listening to the Point of View. I'm back at it, man. I'm back at it again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still trying to get my skills to where I can get this thing picture perfect, where I won't have to do nothing but just come to y'all with podcasts on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? That's my dream, to be in sports podcasting, to talk about sports on a daily basis, because sports always are on a daily basis, folks. Whether we want to believe it or not, sports are on every day. And the way it's looking, wrestling comes on every day now, from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, man. You got Monday Night Raw, WWE. You got NXT, C-Dub. You got Wednesday, AEW Dynamite. You got Thursday, TNA Impact. You got Friday. You got both SmackDown on Friday, and you got AEW Rampage. But I think that's going to be gone before the beginning of the year. And Saturday, you got AEW Collision. And on Sundays, you have pay-per-views from WWE as well. So with that being said, let me switch gears and let's talk about wrestling for a minute. AEW Dynamite was crazy last night, man. It was a good show. Congratulations to Chris Jericho, still kicking, winning titles, man. Chris Jericho is the Ring of Honor World Champion for the second time in his career. He's an all-time 9-time world champion. That means the times he was in WWE, the AEW title he won. I think he won the AEW championship twice. And he's won the Ring of Honor twice, world title. So he is a 9-time world champion. And Chris Jericho is doing nothing but just making his accolades better and better, because he's won titles in AEW as well. He's the former FTW champion, the belt that Taz brought in and his son had. They went on and retired the title, which I think they shouldn't have done, because that's another title. But I get why they did it, because AEW and Ring of Honor have so many titles as it is already. Man, they went hard last night. Shelton Benjamin, of course, against Sammy Guevara was a great match. We also saw Nick Wayne and them attack Hook, because they were the ones that attacked Taz. So Christian Cage and them did what they had to do to make it happen. Looks like it's going to be Hook versus Christian soon. That's going to be a rivalry. And I wouldn't be surprised if Christian puts that number one contender's world title shot up against Hook, and Hook beats him for it, and Hook becomes the number one contender. Can you imagine Hook going up against Jon Moxley for the title? That would be great for the business. I'm just giving you guys a run through of what happened last night on AEW. Private Party and them and Daniel Garcia. It looks like Daniel Garcia is probably going to be going up against Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, for the AEW TNT Championship, which I think that Daniel Garcia could beat him for. And I would love to see Daniel Garcia have a singles title again, because the last one he had was not the AEW, but the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. And I think Daniel Garcia does deserve to be good and deserves a shot at that. And also, you're going to see Private Party go up against the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team titles. And if the Young Bucks lose, then Private Party become the tag team champions. But if Private Party lose, then Private Party will break up. So that'll be interesting to see, because I want to see, if they do it, what's going to happen when they put Zay and them in singles competition. Who's going to be who's going to be the one to get the job done. I think you go with Zay. I think Zay will be the better star. He's kind of like the Montez Ford. He's like the Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins situation, where we know that Montez Ford will stand out as a singles competitor, just like Zay would do if Private Party was to disband. Max, MJF, and Adam Cole's storyline is heating up. It looks like it's gonna be Adam Cole against either Roderick Strong or one of the other guys of the United Kingdom. Kyle O'Reilly looking on. I think they're going to group back up. I think that's what's going to happen. And take out MJF, or they might turn on MJF. You never know what it might happen with that. Adam Cole's going to go up against Buddy Murphy, Buddy Matthews, whatever you want to call him. Next week, that's going to be a matchup right there you're going to see. As you saw, Ricochet and Takesha are going to end up going at it, but it looks like MVP's trying to recruit him as well. Camille and Statlander, they're going to end up having a matchup. Camille had a great match with Queen Aminata. I don't like what they're doing to Queen Aminata, by the way. They keep sending that Black Queen out there every week to lose. And I've seen this woman win matches. And you mean to tell me you don't see her as nothing but a person just to showcase to lose? I don't understand. That's some of those things about AEW I just don't get, you know. I don't get that at times. And that's just real hard to see. John Moxley and them, of course, are still running roughshod. And the Young Bucks are just looking. What's going to end up happening is the Young Bucks are going to side with the rest of the roster, or they're going to side with Moxley and the crew. I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to see that as well. As I'm talking, TNA is on right now, and the Hardys and them just got destroyed by the system. And they're getting ready for their pay-per-view Friday. And we'll see what happens with that. I don't too much follow TNA too much anymore. And I want to start getting back into it because WWE's now a part of it. But man, it's just missing. It's missing some things. Now, is it because they being on Access TV? That's one reason, because a lot of people don't watch Access TV. But if they were on a huge channel or a network channel, they would flourish more. People would watch them more. And because they tape their shows like 2-3 weeks before, which they've been always doing, before, you know, they have Impact they never have a live show. What they do is they tape their shows 2 days after the week. And this is something else that people need to know that's happening. I think that Collision is going to be live this Saturday. But let me tell everybody how AEW tape their shows. Dynamite is always live. There's no doubt about it at all. Dynamite is always going to be live on Wednesday on TBS. So that's the main live show that they have. They tape Rampage. They either tape it before Rampage, before Dynamite comes on. This is Rampage I'm talking about. It either comes on before Dynamite or it comes on after Dynamite, which I think it comes on most of the time after Dynamite. Then, the next night, they stay in the same city that they were most of the time, or they go somewhere else, but they don't go that far. And they tape Ring of Honor. They tape 1 hour of Ring of Honor. And I know this because when I went to go watch them in Shreveport, this is the format that they had. They tape an hour of Ring of Honor. Then they will tape Collision, which will be for 2 hours. And then they will tape the rest of Ring of Honor, which will stay on for like 1 hour and 30 minutes. So you get to watch over 4 hours of wrestling, which is a long time being at a arena because the people start leaving after a while. And Collision, and I don't want to talk about Collision like that because I think it's a great show. But there's times where one side of the arena, one side of the arena has no seat, nobody in the seats. They're empty. Nobody's in them. They are very empty. So what they do is they film to where the fans are on one side of the arena. I'm just telling you from the experience that I saw up in a year when we went to go watch AEW in Shreveport. Not only that, but they tape it like that. Now they usually tape it on Thursdays and air it on Saturdays, but I think this week they're going to be They're going to be live Saturday on TNT because of there's a lot of. I think the pay-per-view for TNA is either going to be tomorrow. Usually theirs be on Fridays, I think, but it's also a Saturday. I think it's going to be that Saturday because WWE NXT is going to have their pay-per-view Sunday on Peacock. So that's going to be interesting. So you're going to get to watch wrestling. And also, let me remind everybody of this. Tomorrow night, SmackDown will be live and taped. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they're taping next week's show before they go to Crown Jewel in Jeddah. So Jeddah's going to be next Saturday, but this is going to be the big kid and caboodle tomorrow on SmackDown because they don't have no matches. They don't have that many matches set up for Crown Jewel. I don't even know if Roman Reigns is going to be on there tomorrow. He should be. They should have a match. I don't know what match they could have, but if you're going to do Roman versus Solo, I think you wait for that match at Mania if you're going to go Roman versus Solo. But I do think this is what you should have. I think you should have Roman and Jimmy go up against your boys, Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga. Those are the tag team match. You should have that tag team match set for Crown Jewel if you want to mark it off of Roman Reigns. Because there's not that many matches they've made so far. We know that we're going to see Seth Rollins against Bronson Reed. We know we're going to see Cody versus Gunther in the champion versus champion match, as well as Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax. That's only, 3 matches? Why not have any other matches? I would love to see Braun Breaker go one-on-one with LA Knight in a United States versus Intercontinental title match. That's what I would love to see, champion versus champion, that match there. Or see the Judgment Day go up against the Bloodline, which would be very interesting to see Finn Balor and JD go up against Tama Loga and Tama Tonga in a tag match. So, that's just what it is in my book. I think you should have that. You should have those matches. We'll see. But there's one thing I will talk about in TNA. Do I think Joe Henry can beat Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, a.k.a.? Yes, I do. I think it's time to put the title on Joe Henry and see what he can do. Because he came close in NXT and he just could not get it done. This guy is marketable. This guy is not only singing and making music, but this guy is marketable. The fans like him in TNA as well as in WWE NXT. So I want to see if they're going to put the title on him. Because Nick Nemeth have already proven to everybody that he deserves to be the world champion. He's done that. He's the reigning, defending TNA champion. It's time for somebody else to get that shot. I think Joe Henry gets that shot. He beat Josh Alexander, who is a favorite in TNA, one of the top stars there. So this will be interesting if Joe Henry can beat him, can beat Nick Nemeth, as well as Jordan Grace, who's had a phenomenal run as the TNA Knockouts champion. I think she's, in my book, she is one of the greatest TNA women's champions there are. So, I mean, you know, and I'll say, and I'm going to tell you why I say that. It's because Jordan Grace has proven to everybody that she is championship material, not only in TNA, but also in WWE. They've already said that when her contract is up, WWE's calling for her. Do I think she makes it fit the bill there? Yes, I do. Excuse me, I was just propping up my leg. I'm in a boot right now, folks. Walking in a big, huge walking boot right now to try to make sure that my leg and my foot is good to go. I just ask y'all to keep me in prayer as I am recovering, but I'm recovering kind of slow, but I'll get back into it. I can't wait till I get back into what I need to do to start back getting myself together. And I just ask y'all to continue keeping me in the prayers that God will bless me, not only bless me, but bless everybody to where they can be health, have good health and strength. That's just a sidebar. All right. So, with that being said, tomorrow night SmackDown, the only match I know of right now has been broadcasted is two things. A segment with Cody Rhodes and Gunther on SmackDown, as well as we're going to see the Bloodline, of course, as well as Carmelo versus Andrade in the last match of their 7-match series, with the United States champion LA Knight being the special guest referee. I'm going to say this, and I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me on this, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. WWE has dropped the ball with LA Knight as the United States champion. He needs a fresh program to get LA Knight back over. The fans have not stopped liking him. They like LA Knight. But what has happened? I'll tell you what happened. He's been lost in the shuffles because he's been the United States champion and they have not been doing anything with him. He's popping up on the show, but he's not wrestling like he's supposed to. Now, I know it's a 2-hour show, and I get that, but LA Knight should be doing more than what he's doing. I know he had a match a couple of weeks ago against Carmelo for the U.S. title. I get that. But here's my story about LA Knight. I think, and this is just me talking, and that's me because I've watched wrestling for so long, and I kind of know the predictions of what's going to happen with certain matches. Every now and then, they pull a fast one over on me. Like, AEW is so predictable. You know who's going to win the matches when they book them. Now, what they've been doing is, and I'll go back to LA Knight in a minute. But what they've been doing is they have been booking matches so that people could lose. Everybody knew that Shelton Benjamin was the hottest thing on the commodity. There's no way that Shelton Benjamin was going to lose to Sammy Guevara. That's not going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. Like, when Kyle O'Reilly took on Takesha, everybody knew that the Rainmaker, Okada. Everybody knew that Okada was going to beat Kyle O'Reilly because not only because it was taped, but because they did not want Kyle O'Reilly to win that match. Like last night, I said this. I told Fade this. Shout out to Fade Away, man, because that's my anchor boy when it comes down to wrestling and sports. He told me, he said, man, I don't know if Jericho's going to win this. I said, Chris Jericho's going to win this, bro. because they already had one match where Chris Jericho lost. I said he's not going to keep losing to this guy. In a ladder match, Chris Jericho knows about ladder matches. And because the learning tree was there, that's why he won. Now, is he going to be champion for a long time? I don't know. Maybe a month. Because they have to keep evolving. Now, he can go to Ring of Honor each week and defend the title. But it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be Jericho's next opponent. And I think I know who it is. I call him the bald-headed Japanese guy, the one they took out. That's who I think it is. Or it might be somebody else. You always got to have fresh contenders. Now, back to LA Knight. Let me say this. Who I think should fight LA Knight? Shinsuke Nakamura. The dude has not been on SmackDown since he's been drafted there this year. He's only wrestled in live events. He wrestled in the Japan tour that they had and things like that. He has not wrestled on television since he got drafted there earlier this year. Last year, around about this time, Shinsuke Nakamura was getting one of the biggest main event pushes in the game. He was out there going up against guys like Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes and people like that. He was getting the burn on Raw. He has not gotten the burn on SmackDown. And I will say this. I thought that him and AJ could have started a whole nother push and had another rivalry, but I don't think that's going to happen because AJ is legitimately hurt. But if I am Triple H and SmackDown writers, I put Shinsuke Nakamura up against LA Knight. That's a fresh rivalry, a fresh matchup, and a fresh way for LA Knight to defend his United States title. Because here's what I think is going to happen. Next year, in 2025, I think that LA Knight becomes a Raw superstar. I could be wrong, but I think it's time for him to go to Raw. And I think that he becomes either one of the longest reigning U.S. champions or he has a short reign after the beginning of the year. So we'll see what happens with that as, the moving pieces go on with SmackDown. But that's just my thought on what I think they should do with LA Knight. That's a thing that I think should happen with LA Knight. They're thinking about bringing back Brock Lesnar. Let me say this. If you bring Brock Lesnar back, you have got to put Brock Lesnar in the ring with somebody like a Braun Breaker. That's just my thoughts. I also heard that they're making plans to bring Bill Goldberg back. Bill Goldberg versus Gunther would be a great match. Do I think Gunther would probably pass Goldberg out? Yes. I think WWE, this is where they do not need to mess this up. Gunther has only lost one time on the main roster, and that was to Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title. He has already expanded that by putting Sami Zayn to sleep. Okay. That's how he wins. He does not pin people 1, 2, 3. He beats them by passing out now. That's the way you put Goldberg out. Pass him out. Roman Reigns passed him out. So that's interesting. I want to see, and I'll get back to it. I'm talking wrestling right now. I want to see what WWE is going to do when it's time for Gunther and Roman Reigns to cross paths. One of the greatest matches, and I'm going to tell you, that would be one of the greatest matches of all time when they put Roman Reigns in the ring with Gunther. Believe this or not, believe me what I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It is going to happen because if Reigns gets traded to Raw, which I think he would be drafted to Raw because of the Netflix deal. And I will say this, although SmackDown has been his home, I would love to see what they would do if Roman Reigns was to come to Raw. If you put Roman Reigns back on Monday Night Raw and the Netflix deal is going on, when they be on Netflix, you put butts on seats. You put butts in seats with that. That's that simple. It is what it is. I'm telling you. I love it. I love to see what it is that makes, the things what it is and make everybody, enjoy themselves. Last night NBA, let's talk about that for a second. A bunch of games on last night. Let me talk about the Pelicans first. There was and I'll talk about the Pistons. They made a blunder last. I think they had too many people on the court at one time. How you had 6 people on the court when you're only supposed to have 5? I think that was a bonehead move by them. The Deontay Murray has broken his hand. So not only is Zion's out, but now Murray's out, and you traded Larry Nance and Dyson Daniels to get Murray on your team, where him and CJ can learn how to play with each other. But now here's a situation. I want to talk about the situation at hand here, and the situation is this. If he's going to be out for a while, so I don't know where, what's going to happen with him, because he's going to be out for a while, and that's what it's going to be. He's going to be out, and that kind of sucks. And as well, James Wiseman is going to be out too. I think he's going to be injured for a while as well, and it's crazy because they were expecting him to do big things this year, and now he's going to be injured. They say he's injured. I think he's out for the season. I could be wrong. I hope not, but I think he's wrong. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with these guys as they keep going on. Philadelphia played to the best of their ability, but they didn't play enough. They couldn't beat, Giannis and Dame. The Suns and the Clippers had a great game. They went to overtime. The wall in Clipperland is gonna be a problem, man. But of course they're playing without Kawhi Leonard. James Harden is trying to keep the fort alive, but KD, Booker, and Bill were able to get the job done. So that was what that was. And Frankie Kazarian just went through a table. Frankie Kazarian just went through a table on TNA. And so I don't know, man, what else could happen. The NBA is interesting. The Celtics just blew out the Wizards again. The Celtics they're not playing their guys. I'll tell you what it is. It's what it is, That's going to be a great match between Nick Nemeth and Joe Henry and Jordan Grace and Slamovich. Those are going to be some great matches for the titles in TNA. Let me get back to subject here, man. That was just a little something. I was looking at TNA a little bit. Oh, man. Saturday night. It's going to be Saturday night in Detroit. So that means the pay-per-view is going to be going on while TNA Impact going to be having their pay-per-view, as well as AEW is going to have a live collision. I think it's live. It's going to be interesting. So, and also the Vikings and the Rams are playing. Really not watching it. Looking at it a little bit. It's on Amazon TV, Amazon Prime. You gotta, Cooper Kupp is auditioning right now because they're thinking about trading him. They want to trade him, man, and I've told people this, and I told a lot of people this. People I've talked to off camera. off the pod. I've told him, I say, I don't know what else they can do, man, because they're trying all they can to figure out a way to get these guys off of, get the Rams are trying to get off of Cooper Kupp because they don't think if they're trying to trade him. Let me tell you why they're doing it. They're doing it because they don't see no value in him anymore. That's why they're doing it. It is no other way. There's no other situation but that. You're trying to get better. The Rams were 3 years ago a championship team. Look at how they've been playing for the last two. They've been getting back to the playoffs, but they have not been doing anything. I don't think they made it last year. I could be wrong, but I'm saying the thing about it is they're kind of like in a little rebuilding and a retooling situation. So we'll see what happens with that as well. Of course, college football is still on. Tomorrow, a ranked team is supposed to play tomorrow, I think. The NBA is coming on tomorrow. Wrestling's coming on. The beginning of the World Series coming on. Man, it's so much sports, man. You cannot say that you can't get your dose of sports because you can get your dose of sports all night long, man. It is so good to see that more sports are coming on now that the NBA is back. You're going to watch the NBA. The NBA is going to be on every night, almost every night, except for the breaks that they have, because they're gonna have a break, I think, when this after this NBA Cup, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of days off, and of course they have a couple of days off for the All-Star after the All-Star game and things like that. I still think that Darius Garland's going to be traded from Cleveland soon. I just think it, man. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I just do think that they're going to try to come up off him and try to send him somewhere. I'm going to say this, and I could be wrong. I'm going to say this. And I'm going to tell you why I did not bag on any other team, and not even the Clippers. The Clippers played great. They just messed up in the end. That's all it was. KD and them were just, the better team. I don't like how the way that people are bagging on Kawhi Leonard. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. People are trying to make him retire. I don't think Kawhi is going to retire right now. I know he's been dealing with an injury for the last, 10 years? Look at what he's done in 10 years. He's won 2 championships. He's won an All-Star MVP. And he's been from a couple of teams that has made them teams better. Of course, San Antonio, he won a championship just being there in the mix, but he showed his colors and showed people that he could play in that last championship that the Spurs won. Not only that, let's talk about this. Went to Toronto on a one-year plan, won a championship, left and went to the Clippers. Got the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals, and they lost a 3-1 deficit to Denver. And no, was it that? No, it was another. They did get to the Western Conference Finals, but they did lose to Denver in one of the, I think during the pandemic. But Kawhi has been injured a lot. He does have a bad leg and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, I don't like how they're backing on Kawhi because of Kawhi Leonard. The man is he's Kawhi. He's going to do what he wants to do. If he feels like he's not playing, he's not going to play. It's not that he don't want to play. He just can't play. And a lot of people need to stop bagging on him like that. I was one of them that said, man, at one time I was like, man, this dude, man, making all this money and stuff, why is he not saying anything? He's a quiet guy. But Kawhi Leonard, he does get hurt at the wrong time. But as far as him, he's not the worst superstar of all time. I don't care what anybody says. He is not the worst superstar of all time. The man is just he moves different. And I'm not excusing him for not wanting to talk to the press. Sometimes those guys don't want to talk. But I'm not bagging on him for that. The only time I'll say something about Kawhi is I'll say, hey, he could have did better on the court. He could have did better in a game. That's all I say. But when he plays to the best of his ability. He plays and he plays good. He's a good basketball player. The only problem is that he just does not stay healthy. That's it. Because last year, if he played 68 games out of 82 last year, he played a lot. He did not play, he did not wear back-to-back, he sat out. No, Kawhi Leonard was out there for 68 games out of 82 game season last year, which means he played every game each night. There were sometimes he just didn't play, but he played the majority of them. In my book, I thought that he was one of the candidates that could have went for an MVP because he played hard. He played great. The problem was he just got hurt in the playoffs. That's it. It happened the year before that. He got hurt in the playoffs. That's why they couldn't get past Phoenix. This year they couldn't get past. Who they couldn't get past this year? Was it Minnesota? No, Minnesota swept Phoenix. Was it Dallas? I think it was Dallas that beat them, if I'm not mistaken. Or OKC, one of them. But here's my thing. I still think that Kawhi Leonard can contribute. It's going to be they're kind of like a rebuilding team with James. I like how the way James came out and played yesterday, but in the end, it's too much KD, too much Booker, too much Bill. Tyus Jones hitting shots. It's just, and Coffee played great, man. So I don't know. It was just they went to OT and the Clippers, just couldn't overcome the Suns, which was a great game. So we'll see what happens with all of that as well. As we get, into the bulk of the NBA season, man, because the bulk of the season is what matters. And right now we're just at the tip of the NBA season. But, man, I'm telling you, this is going to be some exciting basketball this year. Exciting, man. And I cannot wait to see how Wemby's going to play. Well, they're playing the Mavericks right now. But I want to see what's going to happen when, is it OKC? Who is OKC and Denver playing next? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with those two teams right there, because those are the top two teams in the West that can win a championship. No disrespect to Minnesota and Sacramento. I think Minnesota can win a championship. The Sacramento Kings have gotten better because they got DeMar DeRozan off a deal where DeMar could have went to the Lakers, but he decided to go to the Kings to play with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, which I think he could have did that in LA with LeBron and AD. So we'll see what happens as the moving pieces go on in the NBA, as well as the NFL, as well as Major League Baseball, as well as professional wrestling, as well as college football, because college football is going to be the stuff that everybody's going to be tending to Saturday. NBA is going to be kind of put on the backhand, but college football is going to be at the top of the totem pole. So we'll see what happens with it. And, of course, Sunday is NFL. Oh, Lord. I wonder who the Patriots are playing. I don't even know who we're playing this week. Whoever it is, we probably ain't going to beat them. Because if we couldn't beat a 1-5 Jacksonville Jaguars with Prince Charming out there, and ladies and gentlemen, Prince Charming is Trevor Lawrence. So, and my lady friend called him Prince Charming. But whatever. The Patriots have been paining me I'm not going to give up on my team because I've had great times with my team. It's just right now that we're in a rebuilding mode. We got to reboot and get ourselves together, man. But other than that, though, you guys have a great night. God bless you. God keep you. I'm out.